The following program was paid for by Southern American Media.
Fox 30 welcomes you to Meridian's favorite TV personalities and three-time CMA nominees for Broadcast Personality of the Year. Welcome to Mornings with Scotty Ray and Debbie.
And good morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray along with Debbie, and it almost makes you want to sing that song, I Believe in Miracles.
I believe in miracles.
We didn't have any bad weather in our area yesterday, and everybody and their brother, from the head of the National Weather Service down to Reed Timmer, thought we were going to have it.
He was in Mississippi, Reed Timmer.
Meridian.
I know. He was all over the place, actually, trying to track it down, and it just kind of
fizzed out.
Not for some areas. Tennessee got some tornadoes.
They did. And we did have a couple of three in Mississippi as we pull up radar here. And if you'll see this here on radar this morning on Meridian Honda Radar, right here down in South Mississippi, there were two, and we actually had one right up in here around Ripley. Oh. And we'll show you some pictures of that here in a little bit. As a family, the very wrong thing to do. Instead of riding it out in the house, they ran out to their truck and they watched it, and they videoed all that. I don't know if you've seen that nationally today. As it blew through, it could have turned out bad for them. Fortunately, they were okay, but a vehicle is not the place to go to when a tornado hits.
I know, and I know some parents are kind of like, why do they let school out? You know, that's such a tough decision for these folks.
It's better safe than sorry.
It is better safe than sorry, but I know it puts a lot of pressure on a parent when they have to stay at home, but
if it were the other way around, had something happened, it would be, why wasn't school turned out? Why didn't these people think of our children? And they did. They made the right move. And it was
nasty. I mean, who wants their kids out on the roads in that nasty weather anyway? It was, whether we had tornadoes or not, driving conditions were horrible.
Absolutely. If you were around town last night.
Can I just say this real quick while we're talking about the weather? What is the road that's closed off over at
Highway 11 and 80 there at Hawkins Crossing? Water across the road this morning. So if you come to work that way, it's in between there and the Highway Patrol, that Jimmy Rogers Parkway, that stretch, it's blocked. You can go around I-20 and get off at Jimmy Rogers and go on Highway 11 and 80, but you can't pass through up to Hawkins Crossing.
Right, and there's water over the road, and they said it's really deep. And when I was driving here, just be careful out there because there is water in a lot of places.
They had to winch an 18-wheeler out of it last night who flooded out in the middle of it, who tried to cross it, and it quit. And they had to rescue them out of there, pull them out.
That's my nightmare right there.
Right. If you were in the vicinity of North Frontage Road, South Frontage Road last night, you worked the overnight shift, go check your car because there's a chance that somebody might have borrowed a few things from inside, specifically, somewhere right along in here. People that like to open doors and go through your cars. So check that out. Yes. Oh. Shame. They have not been caught, but they were seen opening doors.
That's not good.
No, it's not. That's just naughty. You're on the top of Santa's list, and you're not going to be getting anything this year if you were doing that yesterday. As we start looking at headlines this morning of what has gone on in Meridian last night, this is the scene. And we don't know a lot about this yet because we haven't heard back from the Meridian Police Department. We have put in requests for further information, but as you go to the 6200 block of 17th Avenue, we have a death that occurred last night. A male subject was shot. We don't know the details, but it did involve his wife. We don't know whether this was an accident. We're assuming that maybe it was, but we're unsure as we look at this as we get pictures from the scene of all the police cars that were there.
And that's in the Broadmoor, Poplar Springs Estates area.
Let's pull this up where you can take a look at this. Yeah. This is going to be Highway 493 as you come up on Last Chance Tobacco. If you were to take a right and go into 61st Court, it would be in this subdivision right here. Here's Poplar Springs Drive, Aldersgate up here. It would happen right along in here, along that stretch.
It's called Poplar Springs Estates, I believe.
Wow. Condolences to the family. Again, we don't know the details of what exactly went on, but a lot of Meridian Police Department were on the scene. We do know that one person is deceased, and it's a male. As soon as we get the additional... So you
don't know if it was an accidental shooting or a intentional?
Not one word has been released from the Meridian Police Department.
Maybe we'll hear from them.
Yeah, I've sent several texts and I've sent emails. The only thing I hadn't done is send a smoke signal. I'll try
Maybe
that.
That's where you're missing out, Scotty Ray.
This could be my missing link to Miss
Yeah.
Deborah Young. Deborah, send me a smoke signal. Let me know what's going on.
Just something.
Anything.
Let me know.
Yeah, we'd certainly like to. And the rest of Meridian would too.
Yeah.
We'd really appreciate that.
Especially when it comes to murders or
Yeah.
suicide. I mean, not suicide. I'm sorry. Murders.
But death of some sort. We like to know what's going on with that. We did have gunfire also in the rest of Meridian last night. If you're traveling up Highway 19, you were sitting at a red light, say there by 5th Street there, looking over at Mid-South Weldon, and you think, my, what is that I hear? Is that gunfire? You were absolutely right. You win the prize last night. As we go back to take a look at this would be on Arthur Street, just to the west. Here's Highway 19 as you're coming up at the red light, just to the west of there on Arthur Street on the other end of it, around Oakland. Now, no damage, no injury this morning dealing with this, but we did have gunfire there, and we do think of those that live in those areas that constantly have this. I know it's aggravating to have this constantly in and around your home, and you go, wow.
It just seems like it's everywhere.
It is.
In every little town.
And Joyce Snowden Godwin up, wishing us a good day. Hope you're doing well.
Good morning to you. Good morning. Oh, Archusa Water Park, all the way from out there. I wonder if they're camping from Archusa Water Park.
We are getting ready, don't forget, for the big event that's going to be taking place at Archusa Water Park as the Battle for the Texas Hospital happens. And we were thinking
We
here.
were just like, why is it named that? Why didn't they use better advertising? I mean, like a better
catchier name.
But I said maybe they just didn't have advertising back then.
And it goes back.
And then we went into when did advertising first start?
Right.
So,
but it ended up being it was a bunch of Texas boys there in the hospital in Sherman, and that bunch burned it down. And so it didn't get a fancy name.
I guess it got to the point, these are for our Texas people.
Yep, there you go.
I mean, plain and simple, sometimes we get names and catchy things that don't mean anything to anybody else.
But this is going to be a big event. If you've got nothing to do this weekend, this is a big reenactment that's going to take place in Quitman. It'll be at Archusa as tons and tons of people diverge upon Quitman to reenact this. A lot of people with talent do this. And if you want to see something neat, go see some history this week.
And it's actually going to be really nice.
Right.
It's going to be, cool tomorrow, but 65 on Sunday.
Now, as you brought up that advertising, what popped in my head is Debbie goes, well, the first advertising, what did I think of? See Rock City. I mean, we did have Rick Trevino write a song about it.
See Rock City, I grew up with the Rock City signs because I lived in Middle Tennessee, and they were everywhere. Every barn had See Rock City, everything had See Rock.
And I want to say, if you really dig into that, that is probably one of the most creative things that ever happened with advertising. Of using people's barns.
But that's not where it started.
It did not
start. With Burma Shave. Burma Shave, back, I drove 66, Route 66, and I actually saw some of the signs. I don't know. They're probably not the original signs. They're probably restored or replicas. But Burma Shave started the little catchy thing where they put the road signs up to advertise, and it was always some kind of cute little catchy thing. And that was, I think, the first billboards.
And as I told Debbie, it was so catchy, I have never heard of that. Never.
Which
Burma,
takes me
Burma
to
Shave? What is it?
What shaving cream.
Oh.
Burma Shave. You've never heard of Burma Shave?
Never. Nobody in my family, I think, have ever used it.
Well, I don't even know if they still make it or not. But
We use Gillette,
I just
the
remember
little squirt stuff.
always hearing about that advertising and that being the first real kind of billboard type thing.
And that's California?
No, it's Route 66 is all over, but we saw it in Arizona, the part of Route 66.
And maybe that's why we just I
When I say Route 66, I don't know if it's Route 66. I always call it Route 66.
Most people go, it's Route 66.
Yeah.
Get your
now,
kicks.
if I'm on a route, but Route 66 is one thing.
See the things that you learn here every morning with us?
So it seems like we were headed to the Grand Canyon. We were headed to go. I went whitewater rafting on the Grand Canyon, down in the Grand Canyon, and we had to go through some town. Then that's where it was. It was part of Route 66.
Hold the fort. We've got somebody that agrees with you. Sandra says she saw it in Iowa years ago.
Yeah, so, Route 66 goes. I want to say, somebody help me. Maybe from Illinois all the way out west.
Well, maybe so. It's famous. It's
maybe
very
from
famous.
Somewhere in Chicago, maybe Chicago out west. I don't know.
Union, Mississippi, joining us this morning. JT, good morning there. And also, Ann Hall says she remembers this.
Everybody knows about Burma shave.
I mean, I knew all about the flower because I watched the Grand Ole Opry as a kid, the important things like that. You know, back in the old days, you had to make a dress out of your flour sack.
Back in the old days, we used to get glasses out of the laundry detergent. Anybody remember that?
Did you
we
do
had a whole set of glasses from laundry.
The jelly jars that were also your glasses, it had the little things around the top of them.
The jelly jars. I mean, it's hard for me to throw a jar away. I don't ever throw a jar away, actually.
It's because you're from the South.
I mean, I've got so many jars, I don't even know why I keep all of them. But when you think about how much content, how much of the actual product is missing to get a glass or whatever you're getting out of your flour bag or out of your laundry detergent, by the time you took the glass out, half your laundry detergent
was missing. Good point on that.
It really wasn't free.
We've got a special guest coming up here in just a moment, and you hear him each day if you watch us at 6:30. Today marks kind of something special, the 100th episode that we've ran from the church in Collinsville. First Baptist. It's not the second, it's the first, folks. And we've got the mainmost man, the man that grips the gospel gun, is here to talk to us in just a moment. Y'all don't rush off.
It's finally here, the springtime Sweet Pea Swap, located at the old Jeffries building at Bonita Lakes. Drop-offs February 23rd through February the 25th. Thursday, March 2nd, 5 to 9 p.m. is paid ticket holders pre-sale. Tickets are only $10 each. The public sale begins Friday, March the 3rd, 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. Saturday, March 4th, 10 to 7. Sunday, 25% off, 1 to 6 p.m. And Monday, March the 6th, 50% off, 10 until 7 p.m. It's the spring Sweet Pea Swap at the old Jeffries building by Bonita Lakes Mall. If it's time for another car or truck for your family, see our friends at Interstate Auto. They're located on North Frontage Road in Meridian, just down from IHOP. They offer bank rate financing. All applications are accepted with over 14 years in business, and they offer you a fair price. Open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. and Saturday 9 until 2. Appointments available after hours as well. Remember, all roads lead to Interstate Auto, 802 North Frontage Road, Meridian, 601-483-6977. Rockhouse Gun & Pawn is open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Lots of different calibers and brands to choose from when it comes to hunting rifles. Whether you're looking for a new pump shotgun or an AR, the Rockhouse will have the gun that you need. With a huge selection of ammunition for just about any caliber that you may be looking for. Pistols, scopes, and a whole lot more. Plus a private lobby for your confidentiality when it comes to your pawns. Rockhouse Gun & Pawn, located at 5430 Highway 19 North Meridian.
And welcome back as we, behind the scenes, argue about what the scariest thing is that we've ever done. I voted the incline in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
The incline. Ben, what is the scariest thing for you?
Oh, anything with heights. Oh, my goodness.
I'm with you.
I'll tell you the scariest thing I ever did. It wasn't flying with the Blue Angels that I got to do. It was when the year I got picked to fly with the stunt people before the Blue Angels. It was the year before I got to fly with the Blue Angels.
Upside down they go.
And they would stall out the engine, and it looked like you were about to crash into the earth, and then you would come back up and do like 15 loops in a little small, 2 people in the plane type thing. It was a mercenary plane or something like that. Remember them well. That was scary because the Blue Angels, you feel pretty controlled.
Well, let me ask this. As you mentioned that you, too, are scared of heights. So what is the scariest place that you've been forced or drug into with the family there and you have no choice? What is it?
You should have seen me in the St. Louis Arch.
Oh,
so,
no.
I mean, you're so way up there. And so you got to ride this egg first. Like, it's like this egg car that goes all the way up, this weird little ratchety thing that goes up. And you literally looks like an egg. And you feel like you're just ratcheting up this thing. And when you get up there, you walk out there, and I literally wanted to crawl across it.
I have done that.
And that's the arch.
Oh, yeah. You can go all the way to the top.
Yeah, that whole thing you can go in.
I didn't know that.
My wife and kids were so mad because I was like, all right, hey, time to go. We've been here.
Did that.
But they wanted to stay. I was like, oh, we've seen enough.
I even plastered myself to the wall at Rock City when we got up there, and that little bitty edge. It was awful.
I hate to say it, but Scotty Ray acts a fool.
Yeah, you get me scared.
Like most people, at least try to hide some of their terror just to, I don't know.
Let it all hang out.
Not Scotty Ray. I mean, I've been places with him that were just elevators that he acted terrified.
It's just so visceral, you can't help it.
Now, do you like glass elevators? Because I don't.
Oh, no. Close me up so I can't see a thing.
What about, have you ever been in the Chicago, what is the Chicago
Sears Tower or something like that?
Where it moves out?
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
And the reason this popped in my head, and I have to be honest, you may have watched this movie or not, but Pretty Woman was on this weekend, and what's his name? You know, the girl that was at his hotel room, she was sitting on the ledge, and he kept going, "Get away from there, Richard Gere. That scares me. Stop it.
That's you."
And I felt him. I felt his pain because I feel for other people too.
Yeah.
My stomach gets queasy, like playing Mario Brothers. Like if Mario gets on the edge,
get out of here.
If he gets on the edge, my stomach gets
You're
queasy.
like, oh no, you got to move.
Isn't that weird?
So let's get to some important things. You're the lead most man, the pastor at First Baptist.
That's right.
There in Collinsville, a brand new church that's been rebuilt. So who is it that goes to sleep first? Let's just go ahead and talk about him. Is it Daryl Butler?
Oh goodness, it may be. It could be Daryl Butler. It could be Tom Butler. No, got a good bunch of folks over there. I tell you, Robbie McKee is definitely not going to sleep.
No, Robbie pays attention, doesn't he?
Oh, he's my man over there. Yeah, he's a shouter, a clapper. We have a lot of fun, and it's just a great bunch of folks, a lively crowd.
How long have you been here now?
10 months.
That is wonderful.
All?
That's all. Yeah.
He has fit right in.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah,
now,
just jumped right in.
Today we celebrate this, and maybe a few of you get up early with us as we have a first show at 6:30. Today marked, and I'll let you tell it.
Yeah. Well, today is our 100th episode of our Change Begins in You spot, and it's just been a neat ride. We've enjoyed doing that every weekday. I got a great team of pastors who come along with me. Pastor Paul Sizemore, Pastor David Hogg, Pastor J.J. Nelson. We as the pastoral team there at First Baptist Collinsville, we all jump in and do a part of it, and it's just been a lot of fun. We've been walking through the Gospel of Matthew, just verse by verse.
You learn something every day from it. It's just a small message, but boy, is it strong, and you learn something.
Yeah. Well, thank you. When you approach us about it, it's one of those things. It's like, this is a no-brainer. An opportunity to share the Word of God with folks, and then also a chance to, when you think about our area, any area you live in, but everybody talks about, I'd love to see some things change.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, things don't change in our community until they change inside of us. And that's where that comes from. Change begins in you. If we want to see some things change, well, it begins with our heart and then extends out from there into the community. And so that's why, we came up with that title, Change Begins in You.
And it's clever. And as a matter of fact, I'm sure there's some folks going, what are y'all talking about? I have never watched it. So let's play. This is the 100th episode. Let's pause for a moment and let's listen to Brother Ben here give you a little quick message of what it's all about. We'll be right back.
What is one thing that we love to receive but find so hard to give? Well, the answer I'm thinking of is forgiveness. Isn't that true? I love to be forgiven when I do wrong, but I struggle to forgive when I've been wronged. In Matthew 18, Jesus told a parable that illustrates this very dynamic. There was a man who owed a ton of money to a king. And when that man was called to account, he begged for mercy, and the king had pity on him and forgave him this huge debt, which of course brought the man great joy. We love being forgiven. But not too long after that, the man ran into somebody who owed him just a little bit of money. And when that person begged the man for mercy, he refused, laid hands on him, and began to choke him and yell at him to give him what he was owed. We find it so hard to forgive others, don't we? Well, the king heard of the incident and immediately threw the man into jail until he could repay every penny he owed the king. And then Jesus delivered this punchline. And so also my heavenly Father will do to you, everyone, if you do not forgive your brother from your heart. Beloved, God only forgives those who forgive others. May God's word here help you understand how good and important it is to not only receive forgiveness, but to also give forgiveness. Who do you need to forgive? Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. So, Brother Ben, I have to ask, where do the ideas come for these little mini sermons, I guess.
Somebody just called it a sermonette.
A sermonette.
That's good.
Well, we actually, we are just literally going verse by verse through the Gospel of Matthew. And so it's funny, on the backside of it, somebody will say, well, man, this is a tough text. Can't I get a different text, or whatnot? And I say, well, no, it's just the next one. Whatever comes next, you get. But really, it just comes from the inspired Word of God. It is so relevant to us. It was written, thousands of years ago, but even right now in 2023, right here in Collinsville, Mississippi, Meridian, Mississippi, and all the surrounding areas, it is relevant, and it'll ever be relevant because it talks to human beings, and human beings ain't changed much.
Bring up your dad. You've referenced your dad from being from Kentucky several times, like his Arrowhead collection.
That's right.
Of wanting to show that off. Everybody does that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad, he loves that stuff. And I promise you, Scotty Ray, if y'all were to load up and go with me, that'd be the first thing he'd pull out.
Is it really?
Oh, he loves those things. And
Where
he's got
in
a great little
Kentucky?
collection.
Where in Kentucky?
Bowling Green.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Warren County, Kentucky. My dad, sort of born and raised there, and he don't leave the county much, but when he does, it's to come see grandkids.
That's great.
My brother lives in Lexington, Kentucky, and then we moved down here.
So did this rub off on you to where you go collect arrowheads too, or is that just a thing for your dad?
No, just my dad. I never got into that.
And it's real popular here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're found
there's
everywhere.
A lot of arrowheads here. But in that area too.
Oh,
in
sure.
Kentucky and Tennessee and all of that.
Well, Mammoth Cave is right there, nearby where we where we lived, and so a lot of Native American artifacts and just some beautiful stuff. But the good old boys get out and walk, especially after they've broken the ground, to plant crops. Oh, that's the best time to go.
Well, you have kind of started a conversation here as we started talking about things that kind of gave us the fear of heights. We've had several comments. Fear.
Yeah, make your sermonette about fear. But a lot of people are listing things that terrified them. Ziplining in the Dominican Republic. Let's see, bridge. Okay, so Mike and I did this. The bridge that goes across Pikes Peak. It's the highest mountain peak in I think
ain't doing that.
In Colorado. Mike and I, he was driving, and I literally was ripping his arm off. I got in that floorboard. I was never been that terrified in my life.
Preacher man, I have to ask.
Yep.
Because I haven't, and I'm not.
All right.
I just want to see if you're braver than I.
Okay.
I know that they've got a beautiful building, and I'm not going to visit them. But the folks downtown with the 3-foot building with the nice restaurant upstairs, I'll never see it.
That's silly.
Oh, yeah, man, that thing is so cool. You got to go there.
You been?
That's not scary at all.
Yeah, so when when we came in January of 2022 to visit and have our first interview here with the church, they put me up at the 3-foot hotel there. And
you don't know anything about years ago the elevator breaking so many times.
No, I haven't heard that.
Why you ride
well,
that?
I'm glad I didn't know that. But yeah, that restaurant up there, it was funny. My wife goes, "Don't you want to go to the edge?" And I said, "Oh, I think I can see it right here from the middle."
Right from the middle, you can see everything. But actually, the elevator's fast.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really fast.
I'm sure it's a new one now. But I just remember going to see Dr. Robinson, the dentist, and it always going, and you're stuck there with your parents.
Well, it's a whole different experience now. You really need to go up there. It's absolutely, and you can see Meridian, and it's just really a great view.
And that was one of the things when we first came into town, coming into that 22nd Avenue area, we were like, wow, this is neat. I mean, it's unique. It's got a lot of character to it. That's one of the things we've loved about living here in the area.
So as you've moved here, you've said you've been here 10 months out in college, and folks go visit with them. But what would you say is the most unique thing that you've seen or experienced that you've had since living amongst us?
Oh, goodness. Well, I love the way Mississippians say certain words like here.
Yeah.
Is here. I love that.
Come here.
That's right. It's some of that. And then, we've gotten to go do some Civil War things.
Right.
So we went to Vicksburg.
Isn't Vicksburg great?
Oh, it's
if
amazing.
You have not been.
Yeah.
You've got to go.
It was so funny. I walked up, though. You guys will appreciate this. I walked up where we were there in the area there, and it's actually the Yazoo River.
Yeah.
And I'm going, man, I thought the Mississippi was bigger than this.
No.
So I was at the wrong river, and I was talking to everybody like, everybody's saying the water's down right now and all this stuff, and they were like, no, dummy, that's the Yazoo, the Mississippi.
No, that's kind of like when we first moved to Mississippi. I made Mike drive us down to the coast, and we were at the coast. Woke up, we got there late at night. Woke up, and I was like, the Mississippi coast is not what the coast I was thinking about. Have you been down there?
Yeah.
Because it's like a lake.
Oh,
it's not like, I thought we were going to be like beautiful waves and stuff.
As you've been indoctrined into Mississippi, has anybody introduced you, and maybe from Kentucky, but have you been introduced to Clower yet? Jerry Clower, are you a big fan of this yet?
Oh, absolutely. So my son and I have a 17-year-old son, and that's one of our favorite things to do is ride around and listen to Jerry Clower. We were doing that before we ever moved here, but once we knew we were coming to Mississippi, I was like, well, we got to listen to all of them now. And so knock them out, John.
Yeah,
I love all those.
One of us shoot up amongst us. One of us got to have some relief.
Yeah, he's great.
Sitting up with the dead, and of course that was all what we used to do back in the old days. You couldn't leave the dead alone.
I don't know what you're saying. I'm not into Jerry Clower like
they back in the old South, you didn't stay at a funeral home. They brought the body back to the house, and then some family member had to set up with the dead all
That's why the houses were built with those big hallways. Remember, that's where they would put them.
And then there was the story that Jerry told of where the old boys that were sitting up with him decided they wanted a little drink, and they took him with them to the honky tonk, and he ended up getting in a fight and getting stabbed. The dead guy did, and it was just hilarious.
It sounds like what is it? The Bernie?
Yeah, Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, Weekend at Bernie.
I think of Jerry Clower every time I see one of these pulpwood trucks go by. He always talk about pulpwood.
It sure was.
I don't see those as much as I used to.
They're gone. It's a piece. It's a piece of Americana that will never be.
Back when I first moved here, pulpwood trucks were everywhere.
And that poor little guy is out of a living now. Chip trucks have just taken over, and pulpwood is gone. It just doesn't happen.
So that's what those trucks are with all the logs on them that we see, like on Highway 19.
Yeah, those are just logging trucks.
Logging
pulp trucks were what's left over.
It was the little squared limbs, and the guy would go out and cut it up, and it would burn a lot of motor oil and go at least 15 miles an hour. The truck would always be like the truck part would be way up here, and it was leaning.
The back would be like this.
Oh, wow.
And most of them never had a tag or anything.
No, that wasn't important.
And they were more terrifying than a logging truck going by you at 90 miles an hour.
But let me say this. It made men out of folks. I'm telling you, that is some work. If you've never done that as a kid growing up, try to make extra money, pulpwood, have mercy.
I've got to say this. Scotty Ray and I bought a house one time and redid it to resell it.
Right.
And it had 50 plus pine trees in the front yard. They were not completely mature pine trees, but they were pretty good size. We had somebody that would come and cut them all out, and we were left with all the stumps because we wanted to make a beautiful yard, which we ultimately did. We rented on our own because I was too cheap for us to hire somebody. We rented a, what do you call it?
Stump grinder.
Stump grinder. Almost killed myself.
That was rough.
Almost died from stump grinding. We did like 50 stumps.
In 3 days.
Yeah, in 3 days. And the fumes. Remember, it took me like a week to recover.
Yeah, I still have some teeth missing.
Fumes from that stump grinder. But then after we saw all the shavings, we hired a girl called the Chicken Lady, and she came and got
that. Was a tough woman.
I was like, no, we're hiring somebody. I'm not doing anything.
She was about yay big around and tougher than me any day of the week.
And she could outwork any of us.
So this is a neat. Now tell us this: when do y'all have church services at Collinsville Baptist? When do y'all have them?
So our primary worship gathering is Sunday mornings at 10:15, which is a little different. Most folks are used to 11 o'clock or something like that, but we go at 10:15.
We got to have chicken a little bit before lunch.
You got to beat everybody to the pig.
Yes,
but we have Sunday school or small groups at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. So 9 o'clock small groups, Sunday school, and then our worship gathering at 10:15 on Sunday. Sunday nights we do various things. We don't really have a church service or a worship gathering, but it's something different about every other month as far as our schedule. But Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock is when we have our big children's ministry, our student ministry. We have a praise, preaching, and prayer gathering for the adults. And before all of that, we have Missions Cafe, where you don't even have to, you just come hungry and you can get some food right there. So at 5 o'clock. So that's what we do on Wednesday night.
Well, the cat's out of the bag now. They cook food on Wednesday night. Y'all are going to be slammed.
I'm going to tell you, nothing like a good Wednesday night Baptist church meal.
Absolutely.
I used to help out in the kitchen at our church on Wednesday night.
Fantastic. Already 7:28. More coming up. We're going to take a step back in time. We'll even test you here in just a moment. Y'all don't rush off. We'll be right back with more and more information this morning.
Your next Maytag or Whirlpool appliance is waiting on you at All Temp Appliance and Refrigeration on Highway 19 North. If you've been trying to locate a freezer, stop by and see their big selection of upright and chest freezers, a showroom full of stoves, gas and electric, Maybe it's a new refrigerator from large double doors to the simplest of refrigerators. Name brand washers and dryers like Speed Queen and Amana. And delivery is available with a great service department to back up what they sell. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and by appointment after hours and weekends.
Freeman Tractor on Highway 494 invites you by to take a look at a brand new product they've got. Odes, ATVs, and UTVs. These side-by-sides range from 800 to 1,000 cc's, and they come with heat or air. Whether you're doing work around the farm or hunting, they've got the unit just for you to keep warm or cool, depending upon that Mississippi and Alabama day. Swing by for a test drive today at Freeman Tractor. See coleslaw, buttermilk, and don't forget you can meet their newest employee, Eggplant. That's Freeman Tractor, Highway 494.
Have you been hurt on the job? Call Will Parker. Get the help you deserve. Call Will Parker. Know your rights when it comes to the workplace injuries. Call Will Parker. Call or go online at parkerfirm.net. Call your Meridian lawyer, Will Parker.
At the Back Porch, we're bringing families back together for fun, food, and all the things you love to enjoy around your home. Every event starts with a great grill, great cookware, and accessories. Add in some locally sourced meat and dairy, along with frozen vegetables and casseroles, and over 500 brands of spices and sauces. Relax in our chairs, swings, day beds, and have fun with our cornhole boards. From coolers to trailers, we have everything you need. When you see the big chair, you've made it to the Back Porch.
And welcome back, Scotty Ray and Debbie. As we begin your Friday, the weekend is upon us. We need to bring this up before we get into this day in history. There was a shooting yesterday in Philadelphia. And with most of our small towns, every community being affected by these, it was a drive-by shooting. As we pull this up this morning, this is the scene of what we got in the information from the Philadelphia Police Department. It happened on Coleman Street. One person was shot in the hip, Debbie, as a car drove by with gunfire hanging out the window. They have a description of the car. It was a dark-colored possible Nissan car that did this. They are on the search for the people that did it.
And so that was just a random drive-by shooting?
Yeah. Now, most likely they knew one another, but we don't have that for sure. Again, we've had a lot of shootings this week from Newton, Mississippi. Tons and tons of this.
Lots of, yeah. And plus what you reported this morning about the incident over in Poplar Springs area.
Right.
Want to wish a happy birthday to Helen Russell's beautiful granddaughter. Her name is Brooklyn. Let me see. Is it Brooklyn?
Brooklyn Davis.
Brooklyn Davis, 13 years old. 13.
Boy, that's an impressive age there.
Mm-hmm. That's your teens.
It is. It all begins there.
You're no longer a tween.
You're
a teen. Hey, real quick, let me mention yard sale tomorrow morning, 7 until 1, Lakemont subdivision, 1610 Maple. Got a lot of new stuff. The money is all being raised. We're having all these yard sales to try to save the lake. To get the lake back. So 1610 Maple in Meridian. Big yard sale.
I think y'all need to push off the lake at this point.
They already did.
Okay, I was just checking. All right, let's test the preacher now. Let's bring back Brother Ben here. All right, did you ever watch the movie Fletch Lives?
Oh yeah, I remember
Absolutely.
that. Chevy Chase, right?
Yes. Today he was born. Hal Holbrook, if you'll remember, he had a big part in the movie there.
Oh, he was born in 1925.
He was. What a great Southern accent this man had. He played the part so well, and if you remember how Chevy Chase got away was, he grabbed his mama's ashes in the vase, and remember he threatened to throw them down. Not my mama. I love that scene.
That was a big movie back in the day.
Hal Holbrook, what a gentleman he was.
Yeah, he was married to what's her name, Dixie Carter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dixie, and that was Designing Women?
Yeah. Remember Dixie?
Yes, Dixie, and she had such class. Yeah. And then what's her face, who was married to Gerald McCraney, was also on there.
No, Dixie Carter's not the one she was married. Who was he? Yeah, he was married to Dixie.
Carter. And then the other
Gerald
one,
McCraney was married to.
She had the dark hair.
What was her name?
I can see her. Somebody help me.
Somebody.
Lifeline.
What was her name? She had the dark hair. She was kind of like the star of the show, wasn't she?
She was at one time. She looks nothing like that.
She was like the main person. I don't know.
It'll come to us in a moment. 1951, he was a sidekick, but as time has gone on, he's really become popular. I've even seen him, and this is not rumor, I caught up on myself. I saw him right there on the Hallmark Channel.
Oh, yeah.
Richard Kurd was born on this day, and of course he was always Tim the Toolman's handyman to the side there, Al, on the TV show.
Delta Burke.
Delta.
Gerald
McCraney is married to. That How could we have forgot her, Delta Burke? She had such a strong personality.
I remember that show, but I couldn't have told you who was in it.
Who was who? And I remember the other two, but they just didn't have a part.
The redheaded one, I
you.
can't think of her name, but I always liked her. She was fun.
The Sugar Bakers, am I right?
Yeah, the Sugar Bakers. That was a big show.
And I can't remember, what was the
Delta Burke, Delta Burke.
everybody knows it.
It was Designing Women.
This was the show before the Golden Girls come along that may have gave it a little bit of a rival. That was the show to watch back in the day.
Good.
I think the was that the one
Annie
Annie
Potts.
Potts? I was going to say,
Annie
yeah,
Potts.
she's from Kentucky, so there you go. I remember that.
I love Annie Potts.
Yeah,
She was
it's all
funny.
coming back now.
Yeah.
It's funny. 1962, and maybe there's a lot of folks out there, and I urge you, if you want a really good modern day show, it's over now, but you can go back and watch the reruns. Longmire, if you have never watched that show, I urge you to do it. Born on this date, who remembers this guy? Lou Diamond Phillips. Of course, he played in La Bamba, and
That was where he got super famous for La Bamba, right?
Young Guns. That
Young
was where I
Guns.
remember him.
Young
Yeah.
Guns.
That was
Yes.
a great one.
Was he in The Breakfast Club?
I don't remember. I don't know.
I don't know. He was I don't know. But he looks the same.
welcome to the Spotted Pony.
Show that back. Show that. Look, you know how some people just age, they look young all their life?
Yeah, and that's him,
That's him.
Today.
Oh wow.
And what an actor he is. He's done quite and he's been in a lot of other movies as well. But boy, Young Guns, you do remember that forever there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, Annie Potts is on Young Sheldon.
Oh.
I didn't know that. I don't watch that, though.
I've seen bits and pieces of it as I glanced part of it. It started out when we first met a young lady who was selling T-shirts in a crowd for this guy. Now she's famous, and we don't know who he is, but we'll go ahead and bring his name back up again. Brian White was born on this date back in '74, and Martina McBride was the girl that sold T-shirts for him.
I have a picture made with him, right?
Yep, you sure do.
We had him in concert.
He was at the Jimmy Rogers.
He was at the Jimmy Rogers.
And nice fella there. And of course, you know, he brought about
He did
Pearl
one
River.
song, right?
Yeah, maybe. It was a semi-hit there.
Yeah.
I don't have Van Mack as my partner there to throw out that name there that I can't remember
What name?
of the song that he had, and I know it is on the tip of my tongue.
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, no clue.
But again, you know, he's responsible for. He helped produce Pearl River that came out of Philadelphia. It never turned into a big thing, but they did get a record deal there for a little while.
Didn't he do something with, what's her name, the real pretty one? Shania. Didn't he do something
I think
with
he
her
held the
at
door
some
for her one time.
No, I'm talking about he did something with her.
I don't remember that. You got me on that one.
This is just called The Morning of Guessing.
Chet Parker, how in the world are you? Who remembers this? 1986, America was really scared about this. We started hearing about people tampering with medicine while it was on the shelf. That had never happened before. And before long, it was outlawed, and they announced that they would no longer sell the capsule drugs to where people could untwist it. What was it, cyanide or something that somebody put in those pills that time? It was cold medicine that people were putting in. Do y'all remember that?
I remember the Tylenol situation.
Yeah, the Tylenol.
Yeah.
And they announced that they were no
were
longer
putting
going to do
something
that.
in it. Yeah, I do remember that. That was a long time. That was like in the 80s, maybe.
Yeah, 86.
I was in kindergarten.
Kindergarten. Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
I was married that year.
Cheryl, she remembers it was Tylenol. She says she still won't take them because of that. But it was a lot of deaths. It was just mean people going in stores and dumping capsules out and putting their own bad stuff in it.
I didn't even think that. I didn't know they stopped doing capsules.
That's crazy.
But I have a prescription that is a capsule. But I guess you can't take it apart.
Well, and it's behind the counter.
Well, and everything is sealed now. The tops,
sealed.
are sealed with the.
Well, that's what started it. It was the Tylenol
sure.
thing is what made them start doing the seals.
People are crazy.
2001, this old boy went to Nashville. We've met him several times, and he went backstage, and they let him come out, and they made him an Opry member. Brad Paisley became a member. What a good personality. He's always a good.
He's got a great personality, but he was rude when he performed. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. We were in Philadelphia, Mississippi. No, I ain't come to talk to y'all. Ain't my fault. There's 30 tickets sold.
I never felt the same about him. I thought he was so rude to everybody, and it just changed.
We had Jimmy Carter talk to him, and he goes, "Well, it wasn't my fault." And but we were there. We remember. That was some many moons ago.
Yeah,
I'd almost forgotten about that, Debbie.
Sorry.
Never make this woman mad. She will not forget.
I don't. I mean, I forgive. But I don't forget.
2007, they got a divorce. In the end, they would make up, and she would be the young lady that passed away not long ago. Hank Jr. got a divorce from his wife that he'd married in 1990. They got back together after this. And if y'all remember, she had that surgery not long ago and passed away from plastic surgery.
She sure did.
How awful that would be.
So that was his fourth wife that said there. I mean, how many is he up to now?
But she was the main wife.
He was married to her longer.
Yeah, that was the main wife.
Okay, gotcha.
They still had a good relationship. Brian White sang From This Moment with Shania.
They sure did.
I knew.
Oh, and there was
that's a good one.
Didn't he also do that song, We're Gonna Have a Party? Didn't Brian? Oh, no, it was Billy Currington and her.
Yeah, that was Billy Currington.
And now she has discovered that she actually likes men after all these years.
So good. She's always liked men.
No, you hadn't been reading all these interviews. You know, she had abuse as a child, and she was real standoffish
Which
for
was,
years.
yeah.
And now she's like turned over this.
And then her husband Mutt
ran off with her best friend.
Ran off with her best friend.
So she ran off with her husband.
Yeah, so she married her husband.
We're going to have a sermon about this. I just feel it coming.
I think the Bible says something about this.
It does. It has a little chapter.
I think we did one yesterday called Relationships.
That's right.
There you go. 2013, you and I have met this young lady, and she died in just a horrible way. We lost this young lady on this date back in 2013.
She took her own life, correct?
She did. Mindy McCready, as her world
She was a tortured soul.
Out of control.
She dated somebody in Philadelphia for a while.
Billy was his name.
Billy.
And we hate that ever happened there, but Mindy McCready lost her life.
Girl.
Another guy that was just an icon when it come to news and headlines, and he really started this thing called talk shows as we lost Rush Limbaugh on this date back in 2021. That's him receiving the presidential award there. A big, 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 fine honor to win that.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
Somebody said, why would you marry somebody named Mutt? We know a Mutt that lives in, is it Philadelphia or House? You know.
He had moved from there.
Mutt. Remember?
He was from Canada.
No, I'm talking about, somebody said, why would you marry somebody named Mutt? But we actually knew a Mutt.
We did?
An actual Mutt that lives close here. Yeah.
Mutt. You have to remind me of this.
His father-in-law does cabinets in Philadelphia. What's their names? I can't.
You talking about Hilton?
Hilton, his son-in-law.
His son-in-law named Mutt?
Is Mutt.
I didn't realize that.
His daughter married a guy named Mutt.
Well, there you go. You learn everything here now. Mutt.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Uh-oh. Hank Williams Jr. was a rude dude when he came to Meridian one time.
Yes, he was. No one has ever forgotten that little fair episode of Hank Jr. getting all bent out of shape. He might have partaken of alcohol before coming on stage.
He got whiskey bent.
Yeah, he did. And the funny thing about that is I talked to Hank Jr., it was 2004, and we were down to signing the paperwork, and he goes, Meridian. Yeah.
This is an honest story.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we had it laid out at the mall. This was going to be one of the biggest things that happened to Meridian.
It was.
And we had to do a deal with the mall back in the day. It was going to be huge. Right down to sign the contract, and he remembered.
Yeah,
Meridian.
Merle Kilgore called me and he goes, Hank is not having good memories of Meridian. And
it was over.
And at that time, it was $150,000 for Hank. I mean, it was, I'll pay it. I won't even argue with you about the money. And he goes, nah, it just really isn't worth it to me.
Yep.
But he'll come to Philadelphia, but he did not want to come back to Meridian.
I'll be.
A little tidbit behind the scenes there. Scotty Ray and Debbie, good morning to y'all. We'll be right back.
I'm Chris Bullock, and I'm a candidate for Lauderdale County District 1 Supervisor. One of the reasons I'm running is I absolutely love this community and care about our people. I have the experience and leadership skills necessary to provide a professional service to every resident. I have a record of serving this community since I was 15 years old. It's time for fresh ideas under a new generation of leadership. I ask for your prayers, and I ask for your support.
Paid Political by friends of Chris Bullock.
H&H Residential of Meridian is your #1 carpet and flooring store. If you've been thinking of a new look for your home or office, call for a free estimate or consultation. H&H can install or you can do it yourself. H&H has all of your design needs from color, style, and texture. If you can dream it, H&H can make it a reality. Come see the large selection of hardwood flooring, laminate, vinyl, and even carpet. H&H Residential of Meridian, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 4, 321 Hawkins Crossing Road. Call Rosemary anytime, 601-462-9541.
Collinsville, Mr. Discount Drugs, your local pharmacy and gift shop, thanks you for your continued support. Whether you shop with us in-store, through our app, over the phone, or in our drive-thru, our team will provide the best personalized customer service experience you expect from your local pharmacy. When you call or message us, you are promptly greeted by the Mr. Discount team that's ready to help. When you choose our pharmacy, you're choosing a locally owned pharmacy that cares about you and your community. Collinsville, Mr. Discount Drugs makes a difference.
Well, as we talk about the farm supply, they've got just about anything that you can lay your hands on. You name it, a rake, maybe you've broken a handle and need it, maybe you need an axe. Well, they got all that kind of stuff there, and everything when it comes to your garden and getting it ready. That's right around the corner, believe it or not. You'll be out there and your wife will be telling you what to do. Load this bag, drag this over here. Yep, you have to have some gloves to take care of that situation. Rockers and a whole lot more. The situation, no matter what it is, they probably got it on a shelf there for you. Drop in, visit with them. Go to the gift shop. Lots in there. And again, this morning is cool. They even have some T-shirts in there for the 80-degree weather next week. It's there. Boots, keep you out of the mud, taking care of your pets, all there. Visit with them today. Horse feed, cow feed, goat feed, well, it's all there. The Lauderdale County Farm Supply, exit 151 off the interstate. Visit with our friends today. Scotty Ray and Debbie, good morning to you.
Hey, we have a lot of mixed feelings about Hank Jr.
Yes,
some people love him. Some people leave halfway through the concert. Some people think he's horrible. Some people just...
there's one thing about Hank. He's always said what he thought.
Well, that's right. He doesn't hold back.
No, he doesn't.
Well, he's a showman.
He is.
And because of that, he can do some extreme things. Musically, though, I mean, he's touched a lot of hearts, and I guess fueled a lot of parties over the years.
And he has calmed down. Hank is not what years ago when sometimes you go and
calm down sometimes,
and you'd go, "What did Hank say?" Because I'm not sure he did. And he has changed.
I mean, how old is Hank now?
71 or 2, somewhere around
There's
there.
a time when you just have no choice.
Gotta hang
all my rowdy friends have settled down.
All my rowdy friends are not around anymore. So.
That's true. But, of course, I've always, as a kid, Hank was just, being from the South, Hank sang about subjects that really, as a country boy from the South, that you looked up to. Heaven ain't a lot like Dixie, I don't want to go. I mean, who didn't like that?
Oh, I love it. I love Hank Williams Jr.
Didn't go so well at church, but, it wasn't one of the hymns that we sang there, was it?
It wasn't one of those, no, but it sure was an anthem for country folks.
And, of course, you go back, and, of course, his daddy was really what began all of this, of just a legend as we do that. So much going on in Collinsville. Tell us, what is the next big thing coming up at the church? What do y'all got coming up?
The next big thing we have coming up, we're starting a marriage ministry that's beginning this Saturday called Grace Marriage, and it's one of those things that we would love folks from our community. It's starting this Saturday, but there would be nothing wrong if folks from the community wanted to jump in on that.
Now, is it for folks who are having issues or the folks that are happy?
Well, it's actually for folks. Good question, because that's an important question. Yeah, it's not for those who are super struggling. We would want to do one-on-one stuff with them, but this is for marriages that are good, that want to be better. And so it's based around a date night model.
Right.
So we come together for about an hour and a half of marriage enrichment, and then we say, go do whatever y'all want to do.
Is the first course called She's Right, I'm Wrong?
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Make mama happy.
Learn your plays.
Yeah, we've got that coming up. And then, we've got, Easter's just right around the corner.
Yes.
And we're going to be having, during Holy Week, between Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday, we're going to have what I like to call a quiet revival. We're going to kind of walk that week through the story of Jesus.
No jumping and shouting in the house.
No, it's going to be quiet. It's very solemn. And right before that, our children's director, Miss Courtney Hatcher, is overseeing a journey to the cross for children. It's going to be an interactive experience over a couple of days. It's a come and go event, but it's the weekend before Palm Sunday there. So those are the big things coming up. Easter is like the Super Bowl for the church, and so we're fired up and ready to roll.
Now, are y'all one of the churches that think that you got to get up at 2 a.m. and be out at the reservoir so the wind will free freeze you.
Yeah, we don't do that. But, a sunrise service, I've got some good memories of some sunrise services, but boy, you're right, it's cold.
Y'all, if y'all don't believe me, step out to Oak Tibby.
Have you gone to the sunrise service?
I have before at 4 a.m. and I just
yeah.
It was my teeth chattered.
It can be warm. It can be freezing.
Yeah, my church in Tennessee, we would do it out on the lawn right there at the church and the whole community. That was the neat part. As the sun would rise, we would sing, but boy, it sure was cold.
yeah, everybody kind of remembers that. But a great time to come to church, and and we all kind of laugh about this, but there are those that only come once a year, and that's at Easter. You'd love to see more than that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. But if they just come on Easter, they're going to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that's one of the things at our church in particular. We're going to preach the Word of God, share the hope of Jesus, and if they would come on that Sunday, no doubt we'd love to have them. But yeah, more than that as well.
So what do you say? Let me ask this. Let me just go out on a limb here. What do you say to that person that goes, yeah, I hear you, but I don't know about all this Jesus stuff? What do you say to that person that goes, come find out what this is about? What do you say to a person that has a little doubt?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I say to them is give it a shot. The Bible says taste and see that the Lord is good. And so sometimes if you'll just give him a chance, you'll see the goodness of God. Sometimes the church has a bad rap. I know you deal in a lot of headlines, and sometimes churches get bad headlines. But here's the truth of the matter. We as Christians aren't always the best representatives of Jesus, okay? In churches, we are broken people right along with everybody else, okay? But Jesus is the perfect Savior. And so sometimes you got to look past the church itself and the people itself to Jesus. And don't ever let a church or some bad experience with a Christian keep you from Jesus.
Right. That's, I think, the biggest misconception is everybody at churches thinks that they are. And that's a big misconception. That's not what they think.
Yeah,
everybody is broken. Everybody has sinned.
And if you are a Christian, guess what? You're going to sin again.
That's right. And I love to say, we're not perfect people, but we love to point people to our perfect Savior.
And they even have a class coming up for your wife to tell you when you're wrong and you sin again. She'll tell you. You're thinking it.
There you go.
I have zero comment.
Do y'all hand out spoons after that class to wives where they can just reach over and tap?
Yeah, man, we give them every resource they can have.
Hey, look, speaking of that real quick, I have a friend that's posted, she started a campaign. It's called Let's See How Long This Lays in the Floor Before Anybody Notices. She's married, and she has two children.
Yeah, I done that
And she's
once.
like on day 6, and it's a hanger that's just somebody randomly threw it on the floor. So she's doing a test to see how many people will walk past it and never pick it up.
Do you remember when I lived over
on
State Boulevard and that business card fell off the refrigerator and I brought up on the air about it? I was waiting to see how long it took Angie to pick it up, and she never would because I said it.
Oh, yeah. That's a real battle of the minds. Right?
Scotty Ray and Debbie, good morning to y'all. As we get 10 minutes before 8 o'clock, we'll be right back.
If you're building or remodeling your home and finally getting around to that to-do list, before you spend your hard-earned money anywhere else, do yourself and your pocketbook a favor and check out the huge selection available at Southern Pipe and Supply. They have a large showroom on Highway 39 North in Meridian. You can check out the large selection of tubs, showers, sinks, and faucets. Southern Pipe for all of your heating and air conditioning system upgrades, along with standby generators in preparation for storm season. And we're local, Southern Pipe and Supply.
Need an expert to repair a rock peck or cracked windshield? Call Advanced Auto Glass by Joey for quality workmanship and customer service. Convenient same-day service, as well as in-house calibration for vehicle safety systems. Reliable mobile service is available in Clark, Kemper, Neshoba, Lauderdale, and Newton counties for all cars, trucks, and heavy equipment. Book your appointment today for custom tinting. It can reduce temps, fading, glare, and more. Improve the safety and enhance the appearance of your vehicle today with services from Advanced Auto Glass by Joey.
Spring is right around the corner, and Wilson Saw on Highway 19 North invites you by to get your equipment ready. For the do-it-yourselfer, they have all the filters and oil you'll need. Does your X-Mark need a tune-up or maybe a new set of blades? Let the professional sharpen your steel chainsaw or replace the plug. And they can get your steel weed eater running like tip-top for the spring. Whatever your need is, Wilson Saw and Outdoor Power will have you ready for spring. 71 Highway 19 North, 601-693-4100. Well, as we talk about our friends at Maple's One Stop Shop, one thing's for sure, you'll need some gasoline at some point. You want a nice place to drop in that's clean? Well, they've got that for you. And a great place to pick you up some breakfast there. If you're out in Causeville at the Chevron store, visit with them. Bacon, eggs, a whole lot more. They've got so much to choose from with lunchtime coming in just a little while. Visit with them. Cold drinks, coffee, even candy bars, and a whole lot more. Visit those 6 locations scattered across town. You'll find them anywhere from Causeville, Pine Springs, Bonita, even out to Last Chance Tobacco on 493, Broadmoor, or 31st. Visit with them today. They'll help take care of you in anything that you may have going on. Yes. And speaking of, I want to say thank you to Angie for doing our decorations in the back for
set design by Angie.
Yes, there she is. She's done a fantastic
does a great
job.
She hustles and gets that. She's like the Saturday Night Live crew.
That's it.
She gets in here and changes the set design.
Comes in as soon as nighttime falls.
Brother Ben,
yes.
Where in Tennessee did you pastor?
Oh, I was. You said Middle Tennessee is where you grew up a moment ago. So I was in Middle Tennessee, in a little town called Alexandria, right between Lebanon and Smithville.
Lebanon. You got to say it right.
You got to say Lebanon, not Lebanon.
It's not Lebanon. It's Lebanon. Yeah, like Shelbyville.
That's right.
You got to say them right, or they know you're not from there. I actually grew up in Murfreesboro, but my husband grew up in East Nashville.
Well, that's where we did all of our shopping. My daughter was born there in the hospital. And
I mean, don't you love it?
Yeah.
It's beautiful country out there.
Oh, it is.
So we didn't get to these folks in time for your service at the church, but we've had a couple of issues of marriages across the state of Mississippi as we go to a stabbing that happened in Rankin County. Well, she just didn't like her boyfriend, so she stabbed him. So we go to Hattiesburg right after that, and old boy decided that, well, he no longer liked his girlfriend. Well, he just took his Dodge truck and ran over her a few times. The school bus would come along yesterday and find her. She's going to be okay, but he did back over her a couple times there.
That's horrible.
I know. Then we go to Hattiesburg. It even gets worse there for relationship as a guy threw hot grease on his girlfriend. This has been an epidemic around the state of Mississippi of arguments that led to one thing and another.
Yeah.
The old boy that ran over the girl even jumped in a camper and beat somebody up in the neighbor.
Man, love hurts.
It does.
Love does hurt. It reminds me of Clara. Remember Clara from the 80s or was it? No, 2000. No, it's from I don't know when she did it, but she caught her husband cheating in a hotel room. He was a dentist. And she ran over him, I don't know, 100 times. She just got out of prison. She got out of prison recently, but she now is no longer on parole.
Wow.
Yeah, she caught him.
Let's go ahead and just throw his picture up there since he took his truck and thought he could do whatever he wanted. This our friends over at Dark Horse posted the story, and there he is after they cuffed and stuffed him there. He's thinking, I didn't do wrong, and his girlfriend is thinking, yes, you did. Boy, I'm telling you, the things that go on behind the scenes and behind closed doors that you don't realize, there's always an issue somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, let's take 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, shooting down people's science projects. I mean, that's a big thing. Let's go ahead and spend $400,000 and take out that little balloon.
Somebody said, nice job, Angie. Love the cups. The cups.
I got to hear a fighter pilot talk yesterday morning at the Boy Scout breakfast.
Yeah.
And he said, no fighter pilot wants to be the man that shot down the balloon. Can
you imagine?
Yeah, you'd get made fun of all day long.
So, speaking of that, did anybody watch Biden talk yesterday? About
oh yeah,
he was supposed to address the UFOs, but I didn't actually get to see it. But from what I understand, he didn't really address it, and whatever he did say, a lot of people are saying is not accurate.
He got lost. Brother Ben, we want to thank you for coming in and sharing a little bit of your time again. Come join you for church this Sunday and Wednesday anytime. We'd love to have you back.
It was really nice having you.
And we really appreciate the sponsors of that spot.
Yes, thank y'all so much. Again, it's going to be a beautiful day, but cold. We're looking at about 48 today. We'll see y'all bright and early tomorrow.
Happy Friday.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners.